All right, welcome back, everybody. Sorry it's been a while. Been real busy in the last month with all kind of work. And I tried to film while I work, but one thing I've realized, it's very hard to hold a camera and work on cars at the same time. So I'm trying to come up with ways. But of course, as always, I got Colin behind the camera today, so that helps out a lot. Just a side note, you might see a random face in the background. My buddy Tim's with me. He's hanging out today, gonna help me work a little bit on this Explorer. But he's just here to help and hang out. Nothing really spectacular. So we got good news, bad news. Good news is Tyler's Cadillac, as you can see, is back together. He redid the brakes to a point where they work now. It runs and drives. He test drove it the other day down the street to Rudders and got gas. Did not film any of that because I was too busy working. He was doing it while I was working, so we just didn't really film anything of it. But it's a 1941 Cadillac. It's got drum brakes all the way around. New master cylinder, new brake hoses, new wheel cylinders, flushed the brake lines, clean and readjusted everything. But it now leaks from every orifice because it's a 1941 Cadillac, so I don't know if we'll film any of that. But we got to fix the leaks. But he's running and driving. He got a tag on it. It's legal, insured. But here we go. So now to the bad news. Well, not really bad news. So as you can see here, there's an orange Mustang behind me. I've talked about him before. His name's Matt. He's one of the two reasons that I decided to buy the track car. He races this Mustang. Well, roughly a little over a month ago, around a month ago, it broke down on him. He lost his clutch pedal and he thought the slave cylinder exploded. There was fluid everywhere. This happened to him a couple years ago, and well, it's like 4 or 5 years ago, he said. And he had a new clutch put in it, twin disc, McLeod. He didn't really care for the clutch from day one. So he's like, all right, well, we're going to change the clutch. The slave cylinder exploded. Well, I didn't even look at it. I just assumed he was correct. I was like, okay, I towed it here. We left it here. He ordered parts. We finally got on the lift last weekend. And as we're tearing the transmission out, we found out that it's not the clutch, not the slave cylinder. The O-ring on the feed line from the master to the slave decided it didn't want to be an O-ring anymore. And it lost all its fluid that way. But Matt already had the clutch. He decided we're putting a new clutch in it. It's 4 or 5 years old. It's had a bunch of track days on it. So we're going to put a fresh Exedi single disc clutch in it. We're going to do some while we're in there stuff. So it's sitting in the corner in Dolly's right now. The transmission is out of it. And he's going to work some more parts. And then hopefully maybe I can film a video while we put the transmission back in and show you guys some things. So that's one of the two things I've been. But today's video is on this Explorer. 2020 Explorer. We're going to be doing, there's a TSB from Ford about the four-wheel drive axle disconnect. They like to leak fluid from the O-rings because they fail, but they also, there's the axle disconnect itself that there's a TSB for it for certain codes. Don't remember the codes. I'll find them and put them up here on the screen to tell you about it more. Or I'll just show a picture of the TSB as well. This customer's complaining about a fluid leak, so they don't have the codes yet, but while you're in there, we're going to delete the actuator. I have my scanner reprogram the all-wheel drive module. We're also doing some fluid exchanges and oil pan gaskets leaking, and then he also bought the Steeda rear diff brace for it. All right, so parts table. This customer provided this Steeda diff brace. Everything I got here else from work. No, this is not 1540 oil. These are just jugs that I have. We have bulk oil at work. I can pump out of a tank. So to save a little money, I just keep jugs around. So this is not 1540 oil, it's 530. We got the updated drain plug that we're gonna put in when we do the oil pan gasket. I'll show you later when I have the old one out. This one has 2 O-rings in it now, so it doesn't leak like the old ones. This is the updated parts for the axle disconnect. When I get the old one out, I will show you there's a huge difference. There's no electronics on this. This is pretty much just a straight through shaft with some bearings. And then obviously just fluids. We're doing a transfer case service and then both front and rear diff services. We got some gear oil, whatever here. Motorcraft, because I work at a Ford dealer, I just buy Ford parts. I like OEM parts. But let's get this up in the air and start to tear it apart. Now, the axle disconnect, TSB. I've done a bunch of these. But this is an ST 3-liter twin turbo V6. All the ones that I have done are the 4-cylinder. Though on the 4-cylinder one, you pretty much just unbolt the axles, parts, and you slide out, and they slide back in, and you put it all back together. The 3 liters, and I think it's the 3.3. I'm not too experienced on what engines come in these. I'm mainly a truck tech, but I do work on everything. I have to remove the motor mount bracket out of the way to get the intermediate shaft out for the front axle. Well, I'm doing this for the first time, so I will point out things as I learn, but essentially it's take the front suspension apart, get the outer axle out, Then you got to support the engine, lower the subframe down to get the motor mount and bracket out. And once you get that out, you unbolt the intermediate shaft, slide that out. It actually kind of slides through like an upper oil pan assembly. Clean and lubricate everything, and then we'll just reassemble. So first, we're going to put it up on the lift and start taking the suspension apart. All right, step one, 21 millimeter, take the wheel off. I did put that a little high. All right, so take the axle nut off. I don't know off the top of my head, probably a 30 or 32. You're gonna take the two nuts off. These should be 24s, and the bolts that go through the knuckle. Take the tie rod off, and then you swing the knuckle forward. You take the brake caliper off. Might not have to. I'm gonna look at that, but swing the knuckle forward so you can get the axle out itself. And then you just kind of like lay it off to the side, and then you'll have to get it from underneath to pop it off. But you pretty much got to pay attention to your wiring and stuff, because when you lean this forward, you can put some tension on this stuff and break wires or smash hoses. All right, the axle nut is 32. We're gonna be here for a while. Ford uses a lot of Loctite.
One eternity later.
That's normal. That's what they do. All right. 2 24s. The tie rod nut should be a 21. Actually, instead of popping these two rubbers off this bracket, it's one bolt, 8 millimeter. Just take that bracket off, and then you have some extra leeway. All right. For future reference, if you hit strut bolts out, these have a little bit of an end to them, but so you can hit it mushrooms a little bit, clean it up, they're good to go. I recommend if they're threaded all the way out that you put the nut on a little bit and then hit on the nut so you don't mess up your bolt, because when you go to put it back together, you're gonna hate your life because the threads will be messed up and then you can't reuse the bolt. Now, I was just talking about this before I started this. I didn't have my air hammer to push this axle out, but I tapped it with my hammer and it just popped out. They don't always do that. Sometimes they're corroded, rusty or whatever, and they get angry and don't want to come out. So you have to hit them. Sometimes you can hit them with a hammer, they come out. Sometimes you got to air hammer them out. It makes life easier. I think I went the wrong way. There we go. I think just in case. If this actually comes out. No, that's not coming out, so what we're gonna do. All right, now we get to go underneath because we're pretty much done up here. But as you can see, it's wet here. Most of it is coming from the axle disconnect, which is here. That's what we're gonna be replacing. There's a connector here, you can't really see it. Want to get it out, show you on the table. Drain plug's leaking, then we got a little bit of an oil pan leak. We're gonna take care of that. So now we have to, because this is so close, we have to get this motor mount here out and the bracket that bolts to the engine out. So my plan is to take this bracket off here, get a screw jack with a block of wood or something, and lift up the engine and transmission together right here. And then start lowering the subframe down a little bit and just see what we get. Since, like I said, I've never done one of these, so I don't know how far you gotta go, but we'll figure it out. It's nut and bolts, that's all cars are. These are 13s, just a little bracket. All right, so let's see here. Motor mount nuts are 24s. One there, one over here. All right, so as you can see, I got a pole jack here with a block of wood. That's under the bell housing and the upper roll hand where they meet. You jack the engine up. I got a little bit, I mean, there's a little bit of play, so the weight's kind of off. I put one all the way in the back, kind of hard to see, but I got it on the hitch just because you're messing with weight distribution up front. The last thing you want to do is screw this up a little too far, and the next thing you know, your car's doing a wheelie on the back bumper on the ground over there. So I put that in there for stability, just to keep it squared away. I was looking at this to lower the subframe. There's two, they look like 24s, like up here. So then I realized I'm gonna have to take all these 10s out in the front because this plastic has to stay with the bumper as you lower this. Then there's two bolts that are all the way back here. They look like probably 18, 17, 18s. And then what we're gonna do is lower the subframe down. Obviously this suspension's holding it. This suspension's not really, so I'm probably gonna put another pole jack here or something to like, my plan is to lower it enough to get that mount out. And then once we do that, but first I need to get that outer axle out. So you just take your pry bar and you get up in here.
Do you want me to grab it?
Yeah, you can if you want, since you're over there. And you just, I might, oh. Hold on, we're gonna try it the other way too.
What's the other one? Oh, okay.
And you pull your axle out. Yeah, just lay it over there.
Give me the thumbnail what I just saw.
Really?
You with the pry bar and the hammer and him just holding it. That was funny. I was laughing.
All right, so
Helps with it coming out.
let me get some light up in there so I can see. Wow, not really sure how you can get this motor mount out. Remove some body panels here to get some access. Oh, I see. So there's 2 bolts, okay. All right, so there's a part of when the fender liner comes down here. There's one push pin, you pull that out. And if you actually fold this up, you can see in here is wiring in the way, but behind that, there's 2 of the 15s that hold the motor mount in. And then the other 2, there's one down here, and then one where that axle is, you'll go through in there. So we'll get those. Don't know if the 3/8 gun will take them out, but we're gonna give her the old college try. I can't really see that one. This wheel is really in my way. All right, all the bolts are, well, they're loose. Take the old trusty dusty magnet. Pull the bolts out. Now the motor mount is fully unbolted from the engine. So now we got to figure out how to get it out of the way. So I guess it's time to lower the subframe some. Oh, there's another bolt there. I didn't see that. I see what you're saying now. I thought you meant with the motor mount to the engine. Bunch of 10s here. Holds the plastic. Then Ford has really big zip ties for some reason. I think it's for ease of assembly at the factory. You just cut them. They're not important. For some reason, really big zip tie in there. I don't know, there's one on each corner that holds that plastic to the subframe. Like I said, I think it's just easy. Helps with assembly at the factory, probably holds it temporarily before they get bolts and stuff in. But you don't need them, they're not important. All right, now to gain access back here, yeah, 7mm. And then you can fold that out of the way, get to the bolt. All right, so I got ahead of the game. Took these back 2 subframe bolts out. They are 18s. And I will forewarn you, just over the years I've seen it, I don't know why I didn't think about it. Subframe bolts like to hold water in them for some reason. And as soon as you break them loose, I call it the poo water because it's rusty brown water. It looks like poo water. It goes everywhere. So I just not paid attention. I took the bolt out and I got covered in the poo water. Just a heads up. If you take subframe bolts out, be prepared to be sprayed with water unless you live in like the desert. Or hell, aka California. Jackie's not gonna like that comment.
She'll be okay.
All right, now we gotta get an extension. Now she's gonna watch the video and get you the old poo water. The old poo water. These might not have it.
Find out.
Well, we have the two in the middle. I guess now would be a good idea.
What, you want the rubber?
No, I'm just gonna put it on the subframe. Just for, yeah. Use your rubbers, kids. The rest of the 4 subframe bolts, there's 2 up front. There's actually 2 in the middle, like right behind the lower control arm. I missed those earlier. Tim pointed them out. So take them out slowly. I supported this side because I'm hoping what I can do is loosen this one, but still leave it threaded in. Plus the suspension can hold it too a little bit. And then as we lower that side down, I'm hoping I can squeak the motor mount out. But we'll see. Well, here goes nothing. See what happens.
Do an extra hands? Keep going.
It's
Yeah,
probably.
it's just plastic.
Did I take a?
It's just the plastic here. You're getting goop in your hair.
Yeah, it happens. On a side note, I just realized it's gonna be really easy to do that oil pan now. The only problem is I'll probably have to raise the subframe back up so I can drain the oil because the pull jacks are now in the way. All right, so off camera, we finangled a little bit. You gotta lower the subframe down, it gets a little sketchy. Just to get this motor mount to move enough to get to this back bolt. I did it with a straight 13 deep and an extension of my gun out there. And then I had to pry it, we wiggled it out. It's a little tight, a little scary. But once you get this down, you can move it enough. And then you get your other 2 bolts out. Sorry, I forgot about that. All these oil drainers and I'm too stupid to use one. And then you just give her the old wiggle. It's hitting the, now turn it to the right. There you go.
From left.
Wiggle it out. Here, I'll say, let me get that plastic out of your way. I probably should have took that off.
Probably. This is why I wore gloves.
All right. Move some stuff here so we can see. So, obviously, axles are different. The updated axle disc goes inside of here. Obviously, you can see that, so it's made to go together. That we do not longer have, so you have to buy the updated axle because this now has the shaft sticking out, and you slide the shaft over that instead of vice versa. But let me get the axles out of the way. As you can see here, looks way different. Size and everything. So this electronic connector has a little bit of a vent. It's an actuator in there that disconnects these. These vehicles are all-wheel drive, but in a way it makes them like part-time drive because like fuel economy and stuff, they'll disconnect the front, so most of your energy is going to the rear for like fuel economy and stuff, like I said. So this essentially, when I replace this part, and then I'll reprogram the all-wheel drive module to know that this is no longer installed in the vehicle, it's essentially now it's all-time all-wheel drive. Now the transfer case has some clutches in it and it'll translate power to the rear, more rear, whatever, you know, disengage that a little bit. I'm not exactly sure the technical specs and parameters that Ford has developed with this new. But essentially there's a disconnect in there, and then now there's no longer a disconnect. It's just bearings, seals, and that's it. So as you can see, moving the motor mount to get that out, a little bit of a pain. You have to tweak it. You don't have to take the motor mount fully out. You lower the subframe down we have all the bolts out of the subframe. The driver or passenger side, sorry, is held on by like the suspension and stuff, and we angled her down a little bit, and then we just tweaked the mount a little bit to get to the bolt. Not as bad. I mean, I probably could do better in showing you, but we kind of did it off camera and then realized it worked, so we just did it. But you don't have to take the motor mount out, but you have to lower the subframe down. Not hateful. I mean, what do we got? I'm gonna say an hour and a half-ish in this. Now I do have Tim and Colin here to help and different eyes look at things, and I turn wrenches for a living, so I'll be honest, one of my things that I like is I think outside the box a little more than normal people. So never doing this under Ford warranty or whatever again, like this is not a bad repair. I think if you have the basic knowledge of cars and how they work and nuts and bolts. Now, 90% of your homeowners don't have lifts. If you don't have a lift, you're in trouble. If you don't have a lift and you're in the Southern PA, Northern Maryland line, and you want me to handle this, bring it to me, call me. Well, you can't really call me because I don't have my number, but hit me up on Instagram, CB_auto_motive. I'll put links, I'll figure out how to do that. And then I'll get this taken care of. We can do it. But I still use Ford parts. I still have the Ford training. I'm Senior Master Tech certified. I have access to that stuff. So, I mean, I'll put aftermarket parts on, like Steeda parts, I'll put them on. I don't care. I use Ford Fluid because it's easy for me to get. It's obtainable, and I can get it a little cheaper. This customer was going to go with AMSOIL. I don't deal with AMSOIL. I don't. It's not like I don't deal with it because I don't like it. AMSOIL is a great product. Royal Purple is too. But I just use OEM fluids. It's easier access for me. I can get it. You know, I'm there at the dealer 5 days a week, so it's easy. It's on the shelf. I just pay for it, bring it home. But I will put any fluid in your car, anything you want. Just hit me up with a message. We can talk. It doesn't matter. As you see, Mustangs, Corvettes, Super Duties, Explorers. Tomorrow I got to put a hitch on a Jeep. So like I work on it all. Just hit me up. We'll get her squared away. So step 1 to installing the new part. I'll have to go over to the shelf and get it. Lube your O-rings. If you don't lube your O-rings, even though there's fluid in there, there's probably a little extra lube, you can rip it, and then you're going to hate your life when you have to do this again because of this. I have assembly lube. I've talked about it in other videos. After it gets so warm, it kind of like liquefies, mixes with the fluid, and it's not going to hurt a thing. Lube this up so when it slides in, 1, it makes it easier to install, 2, you don't rip your O-ring. So we're going to lube the O-ring and then clean the hole, and then I'll show you. We'll slide her back in and start getting her back together. All right, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I just put some lube around it. Get her lubed up. Now this is way smaller, so sliding it back in should be way easier.
Always lube your shaft.
Yeah, look at that, already back in. Pretty much. I mean, I gotta finagle it a little bit, but. Ha, I jinxed myself. Oh, it's because the mount fell again. Well, I spoke too soon. It is easier to get in there, but I jinxed myself. Well, okay. This mount, there we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. She's in. Now, Ford will tell you one-time use parts. Now, if they're paying the bill, that's why. Because if you don't use the one-time use parts, they come back and be like, oh, you didn't use that one bolt out of the 1,000 that you used, your warranty claim's kicked. Some stuff is important, head bolts. Some stuff, torque to your bolts are one-time use. They say these are one-time use, they're not torque to yield, so I'm gonna reuse them. You don't really need, it's extra money you don't need to spend as an actual customer. Ford warranty will force you to do it just because they like to find ways out of everything. Ford warranty is really just trying to stick it to the technician right now. But as you can kind of see, this one is way easier to put back into place because it's a third of the size. Now, it's gonna be hard for you to see. So, I mean, if Cullen shoves the camera up here, you might be able to see it. There's a connector right here that plugged into that actuator. The TSB tells you to cut the wires. I don't like doing that, so what I do is, just in case for some odd reason, I'll fill this end with dielectric grease, so I'll wrap it with electrical tape and like a little ball, and then I'll zip tie it up here to the harness to keep it out of the way because the alternator and stuff's there. This axle's spinning. Just, I don't want it messing with the VREF circuits. I don't know if the module sends power to it still after you program it or not, but I know if you have a VREF circuit that messes up, it can cause a lot of issues over something so stupid. So I'll fill that with dielectric grease and zip tie that, wrap it with electrical tape, and get it out of the way. All right, so cameraman will come over here. You're gonna show him up in the hole there, or I can do it. You can see I wrapped it, filled it with dielectric grease, wrapped electrical tape, and then I just zip tied it to the main harness there so it's safe and secure out of the way, it won't touch. There's the new shaft in. Oh, there's Tim in the background. You probably just saw Tim in the background. Hey, what's up everyone? Just wanted to film an outro. I started editing the Explorer ST video last night after we got home, after completing it, taking it for a test drive, double checking everything, everything's good to go. But I realized I did a lot more talking, explaining, and showing things in this video, so I got a little over an hour. So I decided that I'm gonna clip this a little bit differently. Originally, I wanted to do 2 parts. I was just gonna do the axle disconnect and the oil pan together, and then all the diff services and everything else, and the seated rear diff brace as part 2. But it looks like I'm gonna have to do 3 parts. So my plan is to just do part 1 axle disconnect, part 2 will be just the oil pan, and then part 3 will be the rear diff brace and all the fluid exchanges. I might be able to do 2 parts, I don't know, but I just want to pop on here and tell you guys, like, it's a longer video than I originally planned. So there's going to be multiple parts, whether it's 2 or 3, I'm not sure yet, as you'll see once I upload it. So I just wanted to pop in here and say that so you guys know what's going on. And unlike my previous Mustang video, if you watch that, I just abruptly ended with a black screen and some words. So I'm trying to actually outro and see how things work. Well, thanks for tuning in and hope to see you next week.